What's up, YouTube? Today's video is my next music pickups video, and this pretty much covers the stuff I got over the month of October 2015 and part of November 15. During these months, I visited Chicago, Illinois, and also Memphis, Tennessee, and got quite a few of these pickups in those two cities, along with my home base of St. Louis, Missouri. So we'll go ahead and start with these. I'm going to start with the CDs first. We'll go into the 7-inch singles and then full-length vinyl I got over the last couple months. The first one of these just came in the mail today. I'm actually very excited to get this. This is the newest release by Guided by Voices, and if you're a fan of Guided by Voices, you're saying, wait a minute, they broke up last year. That is true. However, this is a compilation of unreleased recordings from their history over the last 25, 30 years. And big mix, this is a 4 CD set, and this is actually the fourth 4 CD set of Suitcase releases that Guided by Voices released. The interesting thing about this is there are 100 tracks on this. So if you're keeping track, that is 400 unreleased songs that have come out just through these box sets alone. If anything, Guided by Voices is very prolific, and of course that's one of the things that makes them so great. So I'm very much looking forward to checking this out. I'll be listening to this over the rest of the weekend, I'm sure. And very cool release, I guarantee. The other thing I thought was interesting is because there are so many tracks on here, they even included a magnoscope to, or excuse me, not a magnoscope, a magnifier to be able to view all the song titles on here. The other thing these are known for is having made-up band names, so everything on here is attributed to a faux band that doesn't even exist. But they're all variations of Guided by Voices lineups from over the years. So very happy to get this, and very cool release. The next thing I got was out of a dollar bin. This is just some compilation of 90s recording, or 90s bands playing in a radio station studio on air. I don't know, a whole bunch of bands on this. Anyways, the reason I bought this, it has a Guided by Voices live track on it that is unavailable anywhere else, and just thought it'd be a nice thing to add to my Guided by Voices collection. I'm sure there's probably a couple other decent songs on this, but I haven't listened to it yet. A band that I have been getting into over the last month is this one, and this band is called Seam. As you can see, you can't really very much make out the band name on the album artwork, or really any other title. This is their album, Are You Driving Me Crazy? And this one was released on Touch and Go Records, which I believe pretty much most of their catalog was. Really into this band. I don't know too well how best to describe them. I guess the thing I would compare most of their sound to is the very first Foo Fighters debut album, which was self-recorded. Kind of has that nice homegrown feel to it, and good stuff. I don't know. Sure other people could describe this band better. They just completely flew under my radar, and I'm really liking what I hear. I also got the Dinosaur Jr. album Bug, which surprisingly I never owned. I am a huge Dinosaur fan, but I never bought this one. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. The reason is I was waiting to find a used copy of this version of it, which is the re-release that was put out on Merge Records a few years ago. For some reason, this has been really hard for me to find, so finally found one and went ahead and picked it up. One of their classic albums, I guess, but not really my all-time favorite by any means, and definitely has some good songs on it. Also related to Guided by Voices, I picked up one of the Tobin Sprout solo albums, and this is, I believe, his very first solo album. It's called Carnival Boy, and this was released on Matador Records in 1996, I think. Very good album. I checked it out a few times this month, and some good songs on this. Would have fit right in with the Guided by Voices songs that he was releasing about the same time. I talked a lot about last month about the band Volcano Suns, and definitely a band I'm very into right now that I just recently discovered. They put out several albums in the late 80s on several record labels. This is their album Farce that came out on SST Records, and I picked all of their albums up on vinyl last month. However, I decided I wanted CD copies of them too, so now I'm trying to track them down on CD. So this is the original release on SST Records, and is kind of difficult to find on a CD. So nice to have that. The other couple Volcano Suns releases I picked up are reissues. These are the only two that came out on CD reissue on Merge Records, and this one is their debut, The Bright Orange Years, which is one of my favorites, and also their second album, All Night Lotus Party. Both of these reissues have a lot of bonus tracks on them, so they're definitely the preferred way to get these if you don't own the vinyl. Another Dinosaur Jr. related thing I picked up this month is the solo album by Jay Mascis, which is called Martin and Me. This is actually a live solo acoustic recording, and I think this was technically his first solo release. It's pretty good. I don't know. I've seen him live acoustic before, and it was more impressive than listening to this, I guess. So I think overall I'm not going to listen to it too much. One of my favorite power pop bands of all time is the band Shoes, and please ignore the awful photograph on the cover of this album. It was released in 1989. I guess it made sense at the time, however, most of their album covers don't look nearly this horrible, and the music inside of it is actually pretty good. I've owned this on vinyl for several years, but this is the first time I was able to find it on CD, so I just decided to get it. And overall, it's not their best album, but because I didn't have it, I decided to grab it. One of my favorite bands is, of course, Husker Du, and this is a unlicensed release that I've been looking for several years. It's called Up in the Air, and it's studio outtakes from all of their albums. Again, the band wasn't paid for this. Unfortunately, it is a bootleg. However, it is a very cool compilation. It has stuff from all 5 or 6 of their studio albums on SST Records and Warner Brother Records, as well as the other thing that makes this very cool is if you've ever listened to their live album that they did put out officially, it was part of a recording that was actually chopped off. They didn't put all of the songs on that live record. So this, the second half of it, gives you the remainder of that live recording, all the songs that were cut off of the official release. So very cool bootleg here. I don't know how many of these were made. This was very difficult for me to find, but I got it in Chicago while I was up there and was pretty excited about it. Another thing I got in Chicago was another album by Seam. This is probably my favorite of the ones I've listened to this month. And this one is called The Problem With Me. This is another one that was on Touch and Go Records. And I can highly recommend this. I got this very cheap. I also picked up their final album. And again, you see the very minimal artwork on their album covers. Probably partially why they didn't sell that well. And this one is called The Pace is Glacial. Again, a Touch and Go Records release. Another thing I got out of a dollar bin was the one Sloan album I never had, and this is their album Action Packed. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's one of their best, but again, for $1, I was happy to find it. And another thing I got out of a dollar bin is the album The Best of the Posies, Dream All Day. I am a big Posies fan. I have all of their releases. However, I never bought their best of because I didn't think I needed it. And then I found out there's actually quite a few exclusive tracks on this, live songs, cover songs, and soundtrack songs that otherwise would be a pain to get. So this was actually well worth picking up. And I can recommend this as well because it's got, I don't know, about 20 songs on it. So it's even beyond just their quote-unquote hits. There is quite a bit of other stuff there for the hardcore fan. So very nice compilation there. Alright, next we'll move into the 7-inch singles I got this month. First one of these is from the current band Wand, and this has a song that's on their new album, as well as a B-side, which is a cover, and I totally forgot off the top of my head what the cover is of, but definitely cool stuff, and I like the artwork on this. The other 7-inch I got this month is a vintage 7-inch. This is from the mid-90s, and this is from the group that actually started in the late 60s, the Silver Apples. I have not listened to this yet, but this is kind of their first reunion release, I guess. They never put out a reunion album, but they did release a few songs here and there, and yeah, looking forward to checking this out. I like their stuff from the 60s, so we'll see how the reunion stuff holds up. Alright, next we'll go into the full-length records I got this month. Again, I'll shout out a couple record stores I saw over the month. I did get that Silver Apples record at one of the coolest record stores in Memphis called Goner Records. I've mentioned them several times in my videos. I also visited Shangri-La Records, which I don't like quite as much as Goner. The prices are a little higher, but they do get some pretty good stuff that you can't find elsewhere. So definitely a nice place. If you're in Memphis, check them out. And this was the highlight of my trip there. I got the album by Rainy Day. If you can see that, that's the only billing on it. It has this very basic artwork on the front. But this is actually a really cool piece of Paisley Underground history. So if you've ever listened to Paisley Underground bands such as the 3 O'Clock, Rain Parade, the Bangles, Dream Syndicate, things like that, they actually formed this one-off supergroup called Rainy Day and released this one album that is nothing but very good cover songs of bands like Big Star, Neil Young, Beach Boys, I don't know. But it's all recorded with an incredibly high quality, and they alternate singers, so you can hear singers from several of those different bands. This is a great release. Unfortunately, it's been out of print since the early 80s. Nobody else has stepped up to bat to repress this, and it also goes for quite a bit of money. So I have never actually seen this in person, and I just basically made a big impulse purchase hoping it would be good. I listened to it several times. It's actually fantastic, and I can kind of see why it commands such a high price. So very happy to add that one to the collection. The next thing I also got is a companion to that Guided by Voices suitcase that just came out, and this is the piece Briefcase. So every time there's a suitcase release of 100 songs, there's also a vinyl release called Briefcase, which is basically a skimming of 20 of those 100 songs on vinyl. Probably because it would cost so much to put the whole thing out on vinyl. So you get a taste of some of the stuff that's on there, and these are always nice releases to pick up. The one thing I'll say about this briefcase that was a little disappointing as compared to the prior three is it just reused the artwork from the CD version. Typically the briefcase has an alternate cover that the suitcase doesn't have. So a little bit lazy there, but otherwise very cool release, and it is on red vinyl, which is a nice touch. This was an unexpected re-release that came out this month that I'm actually pretty excited about. This was the one Grant Hart album that I never owned on vinyl because it never existed on vinyl. This was a CD-only release up until now. And what this is a compilation of live solo acoustic album songs that were done in 1994. It kind of spans his career in Nova Mob and his solo releases, as well as Husker Du songs. So it's a nice compilation of all of his material up to that point. And unfortunately, this was import only, so it's a current release. I believe there's 500 copies or something like that. It's a pretty low print run, but a very nice piece of Grant Hart history, and one I've always wanted to own, and especially now that it's on vinyl, definitely was a natural fit to get for that. So nice stuff there. Also has new artwork on the cover, so it's pretty cool. Another new release I got this month, and I have not listened to this yet, is the, I guess you could say, first album by WX. So what is WX, you might be saying? WX is a new side project from White Fence's Tim Presley, and I get the idea that these are almost solo messing around recordings. However, that's kind of what White Fence is too, so probably is going to sound somewhat similar. Again, haven't listened to it yet, but very excited about this. This is actually a double album, and it came on white vinyl. Has very cool artwork too, which Tim Presley does all his own artwork as well. So you can see all the hand-drawn artwork on here, and pretty cool stuff. Nice to have that one. I also got some good rap releases while I was in Memphis. They seem to have a nice selection that I can't find back home. So I got the, this was some other stuff I got at Goner Records. This is the Two Live Crew album, Move Something. I actually used to listen to this on cassette when I was probably about 10 years old. A friend of mine at the time introduced me to Two Live Crew, and obviously the language in it was super exciting to hear when you're 10 years old and you're really immature. But even aside of that, their Miami-based beats are really cool, and yeah, it's a good album. Again, just I have a nice nostalgia for it. This one had their hits Move Something and Do a Ditty on it. I guess that was really about it. Weren't a whole lot of hits on this one, but it's still a good record. I also got a NWA EP while I was there. This one is for their song Gangsta Gangsta, and has a few other things on it. Nice release. I like that it has a radio edit side as well as the full album side. So you can hear both versions of the songs. Kind of was set up for DJ use, I'm sure, and very cool single. I like the artwork here, not the artwork, but the photo here of the whole band, and some of their other associates at the time. Also, I have no idea why this little white girl is here at the bottom, but kind of funny. Moving on. We also have LMNOP. This is a rather unusual entry in the power pop genre. There was a 7-inch single they put out in the mid-'80s that was kind of a big hit. Probably a big piece of record collector, I don't know, something everyone wants to own. This is their actual full-length album, and as you can see, the band is LMNOP, and the album is LMNOP LP. Haha. So this was released in an edition of 3,000 copies, and the thing that's funny about that is I don't think they ever did sell 3,000 copies of this, because you can still buy new sealed copies from the original artist of the group. So if you ever want to look up anything about this band, the kind of brainchild of it is this guy, Stephen Fivette, and he runs a website called Baby Sue, and Baby Sue is full of his comic works, as well as, or comic strips, I guess I should say, as well as album reviews and movie reviews. And he definitely has a very unique take on life. So if you want to check that out, it's a pretty good read. This album is known for having classic power pop style, however, with some very dark lyrics, which I think kind of fits his style. He's very much a creative individual, I guess I could say. And very happy to have this. So yeah, LMNOP. I also got an album by Times New Viking. This is one I didn't own on vinyl, and I've been a big Times New Viking fan for years. This is their album Born Again Revisited, and this was released on Matador Records, I believe in 2008 or 2009. I saw them live several times around this time, and they played a lot of songs off of this. Overall, I don't think it's really one of their best albums, but definitely has their cool art style on it, and happy to pick it up. The thing that made this album notorious is this was, again, released on Matador Records, and when they delivered the master tape of this, they actually delivered it on a VHS tape. So, as you can imagine, not very high sound quality, but that was kind of the point. And also part of the joke of how it got released on such a big label. Also, another release in the Paisley Underground I got that I've been looking for is this album. This is called Before 3 O'Clock. So this was essentially the recordings of 3 O'Clock before they were known as 3 O'Clock. What were they known as before that? Well, their original band name was called Salvation Army. Guess what organization had a problem with them naming their band Salvation Army? Right, so they had to rename themselves, and this was how the album was re-released, as Before 3 O'Clock. So this is the second pressing of it. However, very cool stuff, very high energy, and I think this was originally released on the Minutemen label or something like that. It had some kind of connection to the Minutemen, so maybe one of the 7 inches off it was. But very cool release, and very happy to have it. I also got a Guided by Voices album I never had on vinyl. I bought this on CD as soon as it came out, and this was actually their first reunion album, Let's Go Eat the Factory. And now that some time has passed, I can say this was actually a very ballsy move on their part to release this as their reunion record. I think it turned off a lot of the casual fans that were interested in checking them out. They were so excited about the reunion, because this album is actually very aggressive. It has a lot of things going on, and it didn't really deliver the instant pop hits that some of the GBV fans were looking for. I'm okay with that, though, because listening to it now, it actually really stands up very well, and very cool release. Happy to have it on vinyl finally. Another store I want to talk about is this brand new local store in St. Louis called Planet Score Records. They just opened up over the last month, and very cool owners of the store. I got to meet them. This store is actually named after a Guided by Voices song, so guess why I'm so interested in it. So, because of that, Bob Pollard actually drove in from Dayton, Ohio to St. Louis just to visit the store over the last week. And unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see him there, but there's some really cool photos on their Facebook page of the visit if you want to check those out. So, a must visit for any Guided by Voices fan, and also just a really cool record store in general. So the first thing I got there I'm actually really excited about, and this is a early 12-inch on Ruthless Records. So if you've been following the Straight Outta Compton movie, or you know anything about Eazy-E and NWA, this was Eazy-E's record label that he started, and this is actually Ruthless Records release number 3. So again, very early in their history. This was for a group called Rappenstein, and this is a Dr. Dre produced song called Scream. Very cool DJ mix on this song. Some cool samples you obviously wouldn't hear in any rap today, and probably a pretty underrated song. I think it went pretty under the radar. I didn't know of it before that I picked this up, but just a nice piece of Ruthless Records history, and very happy to add this to the collection. I also got a single by Big Dipper while I was at Planet Score, and this was for their song Love Barge. Wasn't really a big fan of that song, however, I do like Big Dipper, and on this they covered Husker Du. So if they covered the classic Grant Hart song, Girl Who Lives on Heaven Hill, and it's a pretty cool cover. So it's mainly the reason why I wanted to grab this. Another thing I got at Planet Score was another 12-inch single on Ruthless Records, and this is a late release Ruthless Records EP, single, whatever you want to call it. And it's for the Eazy-E song, Any Last Words. So, nice stuff there. And another piece of my Ruthless Records collection. This month I also got the new double album by the band Fuzz. This one's just called 2, and it's their second album, of course. Very good stuff. Listening to this quite a bit right now, and I actually got to go see them live in Memphis this week. It was a fantastic show. They played quite a few songs off of this, and I can highly recommend this album. Back of it's quite plain, however the front cover has that nice artwork. Cool thing I picked up in Chicago, another Guided by Voices related release, is this album by the side project Acid Ranch, and it's called Some of the Magic Syrup Was Preserved. This was released around 2003, I believe. Was vinyl only, and this is the first time I've ever seen it for sale. I think only 500 copies of this were pressed, and the other interesting thing was this was sealed, so kind of in a quandary whether to open it, but for now, it's sealed, and pretty excited to have it. The last thing I got for the month is this album also by Big Dipper. This is their album Craps, and it's quite good. I also like the cover art on this quite a bit. It's nicely done. And yeah, overall another good release by Big Dipper. I think I've pretty much got their whole collection now, so nice to have that as well. So anyway, that's kind of wraps up everything I got for the month. Please leave a comment, let me know what you think, and like, comment, and subscribe to my videos. You can leave a link to your pickup video if you want to let me know some other music you got this month that you're into. Always happy to check those out, and have a great day or night wherever you are. I'll talk to you soon.